Picabo Street is one of the most famous athletes in the sport. She's the proud owner of 2 Olympic medals, a silver in the downhill from the 1994 Games and a gold in the Super G from 1998. Plus, she's won a world championship and 2 World Cup titles. Although she retired from competition after the Salt Lake City Olympics, she's still an avid skier and a die-hard fan of the sport.
Through those times when you're just groveling and you're down and you feel like you've been dealt a terrible hand and how am I supposed to win with this one? That's when you learn the most about yourself, right? That's when the lesson is the most profound and you find the most inner strength. You find the most support. And you find out that asking for help doesn't make you vulnerable and weak. It makes you smart and wise. Because I think smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from others' mistakes. So I gathered all my resources. I asked everybody for all their help. And I needed it because my injury 14 months before the Nagano Olympics should have sent me out of the game. There's no way I should have been able to go to Nagano, and definitely shouldn't have been going there going, I'm going to win 2 gold medals. Everybody's like, what? You're on crutches. I'm like, watch me. I'm going to do it. But all the while, I had been gathering these big bags of tools. And I knew somewhere in there was a tool or 2 I was going to be able to use to get through this really critical 14-month timeline that I had. I didn't have time to get tendonitis in my knee and miss 2 weeks of training. So I needed my therapists and my doctors and the experience of those people to keep me on that right timeline track. I needed my family and my friends and their support to keep empowering me through those days when I felt like I wasn't going to pull it off, or hold me back on days when I wanted to push too hard, and when you push too hard is when you get tendonitis. So I pushed through that timeline. I struggled through that season, really wanting to win a World Cup before I went in there, but the big man had in store another crash for me. And 10 days before the Olympics, I fell in RI Sweden and knocked myself silly. I hit the fence so hard that it googed me out I went. Everything was blurry from the horizon down for 2 days off my eyes, and I thought, great, here I am. I got whiplash, I can't see. It's 10 days before the Olympics. They picked me to carry the flag in for my country, and I need to stay home and do therapy instead of do that. And made some pretty tough decisions, but still always had that goal, that dream, that quest out there. I'm going to go, and I'm winning 2 gold medals. And I got to Nagano, and the weather sucked. Had no idea if we were ever even going to get to race, let alone have nice conditions to race in. And as if I didn't have enough challenges, I rolled my ankle playing volleyball 2 days before the event. And everybody's going, what are you doing to us? And that's when the Vince Lombardi quote, adversities make heroes, came in for me, and I started living that, breathing that, feeling that. And I wasn't going to let it stop me. I was the only person racing in that race that hadn't skied that course. Everybody else had skied it at least once, if not 6 times. So there was another, oh, your glass is half empty, you could fail. But no, I saw it as, you know what? I'm going to beat you all on that course, and you got practice, and I didn't. That grit, that drive, that perseverance. Right? So I drew number 2 for race day, and I got up there to the ski room, and I stepped out to get my skis, and my downhill skis were sitting outside, and it was a Super G race. So I leaned in and I said to my serviceman, hey, what gives? Bubba's are outside, which I named all my skis, as you've probably read. And he goes, they set a downhill up there, baby. It's got your name all over it. And I was like, what? Sweet. And that's when I started to kind of feel those goosebumpsies. Here they come. It's happening. This is going to happen for me today. This is going to be my day. So I got on Bubba's and I went up and I trained, and all through inspection, everybody was looking at me. I was like, hey, you guys are supposed to be inspecting this course, and they were all looking at me. And I was thinking, all right, do they know something I don't know? And it took a teammate of mine, back to that teammate empowerment thing, to say, hey, I'd like to take a ride with you today before we race if you've got the time. So we rode up on the chairlift, and she looked right at me, and she said, this thing's got your name all over it. This course is set for you. You're racing on your downhill skis. Everybody's looking at you. You got the bullseye on your back. I know you love that. You need to win this thing, and if you win this thing, I'll rally all the girls on the team, and we'll all come down to Nagano and watch you get your gold medal. And I thought, wow, there's some more pressure. But at the same time, I felt, wow, she believes in me that much. And she's willing to give me that empowerment. I got to do this. And I got to the start, and I watched Ingeborg Helen Marken from Norway leave the start, and she just barreled out of the start, and she slammed into the first 5 gates and ripped onto the flats out of view, and I shifted another gear. I thought, I'm going to have to step it up to make it happen today. And I knew I had everything to gain and nothing to lose. I was either going big or going home. So when I left that start, I had all the risks in place, and I took them all. I made a huge mistake in the middle of the course, and instead of letting it bum me out, I used it, empower me, and I took even more risks on the next section. And I knew I had sweet snow that was only going to get worse, so I took this bad boy risky line and just skied as straight as I could at those 4 gates. And the snow peeled away from my feet, and I knew it's only going to get worse. I'm in there, I'm in there. And when I came around the corner and I took that jump, I launched and caught way more air than I ever had. And I was like, oh, I'm moving out. Stick with it. Stick with it. Hang with it. You're hauling. You know what? You just stick with it. Focus, focus. You're not to the finish line yet. And all the way down the bottom flat, I just let my ski swim, and I worked the terrain, and I milked it for all it had to give me. I went across the finish line, and I looked up, and I had beat Ingeborg Helen Marken, which I expected to, but it was the margin. Hey, you gotta be a little cocky, right? You know, as long as you don't step on anybody's toes with it. But it was the margin that I had beat her by. That was what was really profound, and I thought, that's a lot. And you know what? Just in case, I'm throwing the one up in the air because this will be on video. And I had to sit and wait what felt like forever for everybody to come down. And my girlfriend, Alexandra Meissnitzer, who in March of that season before, I had made a pact with her to podium together at the Olympics in Nagano. So there was one confirmation that surfaced. Then my other friend, Michaela Dorfmeister, who ran 34, had a broken wrist, was racing with that adversity. She came down 1/100th of a second behind me. Closest margin ever in the history of the sport. And I thought, yeah, I got it, I'm done. I've got it, I've won it. Oh my God, I've won it. And it started to come, the heartbeat and the sweaty palms, and my lifetime dream just came true. I just won an Olympic